Hey everyone, this time we are looking at the official Nintendo Player's Guide. This was released in 1987, and I think it was written by Howard Phillips, who was Nintendo's game master at the time. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm pretty sure he had a hand in it in some way. The game has reviews for 90 NES games, or at least it claims to have reviews for 90 NES games. It's divided up into genres like adventure, sports, action, the light gun games, programmable games, arcade games, robot, and educational games. These were all kind of the weird things that Nintendo created for the black box games, and it tried to do more of just describe to you what the game was about, as opposed to giving you like a real genre or anything like that. Most of the games in the genres do kind of overlap with other ones, so it's a little weird the way they did it. So this was a year before Nintendo Power's first issue. The Fun Club newsletter was out around this time, but it probably didn't have the same reach as like Nintendo Power did. So something like this was really kind of a way for them to let you know what was going on and maybe tell you the different games that you could buy and give you a little bit more of an explanation or some other things like that about the different games that were on the market at the time. They do a fairly good job of giving you an overview of what certain games are about, and they do give you walkthroughs, which is pretty nice. They aren't super in-depth walkthroughs, but they at least give you the different enemies that you're going to be fighting. They give you some maps that are pretty handy, and they do a pretty good job of telling you what's in the game. So you have more of an idea of what's really out there, as opposed to just kind of looking at the box cover and looking at the back of the box, which is still something that a lot of people had to do anyway. A bunch of the games in here don't really need more than what they have. Some of them are given too much time, some of them are not given enough time, but whatever, it's the way Nintendo wanted to lay this out. They obviously focus more on the first-party games that are in here than they do on the third-party games. Unless that third-party game was, a particularly good one, or it was from a developer that happened to be better than some of the other ones out there. Like Konami at the time, just making better games than like Data East or some of the other ones. That's just my opinion. Take that with a grain of salt. One thing that I thought was kind of weird is really the way they lay out the second part of this. The first part are all the in-depth reviews, or as in-depth as Nintendo is willing to go. The second half here, which is called the Game Guide, just gives you like a couple of paragraphs or one paragraph on the game that it's showing. And they repeat a lot of the games from the in-depth review in this section, which made me wonder why they did both. Couldn't they have just, gone more in depth on some of the ones that they didn't include in the first part, or just throw the paragraphs that they had for those games here in the more in-depth reviews? It's just strange the way they did it, and I don't really know why they did that. Coming Attractions was the last part, and that one was probably the most like a Nintendo Power issue that I could see, where they just give you no screenshots, no artwork, just a very brief sentence or two on the game. This really feels like a prototype to Nintendo Power, or like a half step between the Fun Club newsletter and what Nintendo Power was going to be. Anyway, guys, that's going to wrap it up. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and have a great day, everybody.